For this video, it's going to be a little bit different. I just want to go through some of my materials, my work setup in terms of how I film my art videos, my watercolor painting in general. So I know some people will probably be wondering how to do all this, and you might be interested in doing something similar yourself. So I'll go through some tips that will save you some time, because when I started, I experimented around with all these different setups and until I've gotten to this sort of setup at the moment, which works quite well. So it's really important to make sure, for me anyway, that the desk and area that I'm working in is pretty neat and sort of separated out from any distractions. I know I have some guitars here, I play guitar, but apart from that, that's just the general work environment, and I won't be distracted having a TV or anything nearby. I think that's really important, and just being organized as well. So as you can see, I've got a little container next to my desk and a smaller table as well, and that's where I keep my supplies. So I've got that little box there which I keep a fair few of my paint brushes and pens, things like that, and on the bottom I've got some paper and a few other supplies, but mainly paper and sketchbooks in there. So I'm going to go a little bit closer now. I'm trying to keep the camera pretty steady. I know I'm probably not the greatest with handling a camera when I'm moving around, so I don't want anyone to get motion sickness or anything like that. So this is the scanner that I got sometime probably in 2019, I'd say. And it's the Epson V370. And the reason why I got this scanner is there's the ability to not detach, but to sort of pull it out and lay it completely flat like this. And it's important because you can then put in larger bits of paper and scan it in portions, whereas some scanners, they kind of open up halfway, and it's very hard then to get in larger bits of paper. Even an A3 sheet of paper, it's difficult. So that's really important. It also has a very high resolution when it scans, and pretty good color quality as well. So that's just something to keep in mind when you do get a scanner. I use this a lot of the time to make sure that the thumbnails that I upload to YouTube are good quality, and I also upload to print on demand websites like Redbubble. I'm not part of Society6. I'm looking to get onto that, but there's a couple of others that I'm on as well, and you need to make sure you've got good quality scans when you upload. So I do find that the scans of the watercolors look a lot better in terms of overall quality and color. So that's why I prefer using this. With larger watercolors, sometimes you're stuck with just taking a picture of it. Otherwise, scanning it in small parts as well is also an option. But that's what I use on a pretty much day-to-day basis, and it's pretty easy. I've got it set up right next to my computer here, so I just, whenever I need to use it, I just plug it in and scan straight to my computer. So moving on to this side now, I'll just talk about the headset that I use. So at the moment, I don't have a dedicated microphone, and I've just been using this gaming headset. And what is it? It's a HyperX Stinger. I think it cost me about $70, and I use it all the time for all my videos. And I'll probably get a better microphone at some stage, but for the current videos I'm making, I've never had any issues with the audio, and no one's said anything, so I'm quite happy with how it sounds. I do have to clean up the audio a little bit, but if you've got yourself a headset that's sitting around, you can try that. Even if you've got some normal earphones, you can plug them in and use that to record as well. I've done a bit of a homemade job here. So I've just basically got a bit of a sock and tied it to the microphone. And the reason I've done that is just to limit the plosives when I talk. The best way really is to buy a new microphone, which is what I'm looking at. But that's something that works, and it has worked for me so far. So moving on to the camera now. This here is a Nikon D3400, and I got this around 2018, if I remember correctly. And it's an entry-level DSLR for, you know, basically beginners who are looking to get into photography. I've used this countless times on holidays to take photos, but one of the things when I was going through reviews on YouTube and, you know, just suggestions, were people saying that it's a lot better to actually use a DSLR rather than a, you know, a dedicated video camera sometimes to record. And that's because the DSLR has a larger sensor. You're able to capture more light, and the quality is also quite good. So I've been using this pretty much for all my videos after the third one that I uploaded on YouTube. And initially I was using this setup here, which is just a clip-on arm which attaches to the desk. And now I use this as a bit of a stand to hold my hairdryer. And you know what I do, what I used to do is just attach my phone to the arm and use that to record. So if you're just starting out, just use that. You're completely fine. The only issue is just making sure you get enough light, because the sensor on your phone camera is a lot smaller and it's not able to capture enough light, especially if you're painting at night. And I had a lot of those issues when I first started out, which I'll go through later, how I managed to solve those. And, you know, a hairdryer, really important for, you know, drying off the watercolor halfway through, just saves me some time. The camera tripod that I use, it's I'm not sure what model it is. It's one of those Inca tripods, but it's essentially an inverted tripod. So I flipped out this section, which usually extends out from the top, and just inverted it so that I can fix the camera there and point it directly down onto the desk, which is where I record. And I find that works quite well. It does sometimes get in the way though. I would prefer at some stage to get myself one of these extendable arms that attach to the side of the desk there, and you can kind of just attach your camera on whatever it is, whether you've got your phone or DSLR, that kind of thing. This one that I've got here only has enough strength to hold my phone, and I do find it's you know, not long enough for my table as well. So just something to keep in mind. But overall, this setup has been working pretty well for me. The computer that I use here, this is a Microsoft Surface Book 2. So I got this a few years ago actually, and it's fantastic. It's got a detachable screen, so if you want to use it as a tablet, put the reference photos on, for example, that works pretty well. But the best thing about it is that it has an internal graphics card, which allows me to edit videos a lot faster and saves me time. So, you know, for just an all-in-one computer that does everything. I mean, I use it for watching videos, for editing, playing games, looking at pictures, browsing the web. It pretty much does it all. So quite happy with how it's performed so far. It's been nearly 4 years, I think 3 or 4 years since I've purchased it. High back chair, nothing too special there. So this here is a new addition. It's the GoPro Hero 9 Black, and I got this delivered to me actually today. So I'm going to be using this to record some of my videos as well. I think it's going to save a lot of time and allows me to sort of focus on my painting, because with the DSLR, one of the things with these entry-level DSLRs is that they only record for about 15 to 30 minutes, and then I've got to go back and press the record button again. It's just a limitation that they've built into the hardware, the software of the camera itself. So hoping this will make a difference, and you know, I'm planning to make other types of videos as well. It's an action camera after all, so maybe some outdoors videos and a few other things to go along. So quite excited to try that out. But apart from that, that's pretty much it for the electronics. I'll talk quickly about the light that I use. So this is just a little LED desk lamp. It cost about $30. I'll put a link to a similar one if I can find one on Amazon. But essentially this has been a big game changer, especially because I paint mainly at night. And it's got a few different settings here. Turn it on, it's got like a kind of let's have a look. So it's got a warm light here, so it's got a cool light, and then one that's kind of in the middle. I don't know what that would be in Kelvin, but that's the one I use for recording most of my videos. And you can increase and lower the brightness as well, which is fantastic. And I just essentially position that over my painting like this. And when you first start out, it's really important to get enough light in on what you're actually painting. I had some feedback in some of my earlier videos where people were having trouble, with seeing what I was doing. And there's only so much you can do with video editing to increase the brightness, contrast, and things like that. So, I can't stress that enough. Just make sure you have enough light. If you're not near a window or something like that, grab one of these little desk lamps, and that will make a huge difference. So my equipment I mainly just leave here. So, this is the main bits that I use. I use this paint set here, paint palette. I've got some of my pencils, materials, and things, mainly drawing materials here, an eraser, and this is my little brush kit. So I just put my most used brushes in here so that they're all ready to go. And having everything just ready right next to where you're sitting, it makes a huge difference. You can just pick it up and get going straight away and not have to think, oh, I've got to set all this up. And sometimes that can get in the way of, the initial motivation to start painting. You think you've got all this stuff to get set up. So that's probably one thing that I'd really recommend. Keep your paper, keep your paints, keep your brushes, everything next to where you're going to be painting, so you make it easy for yourself. Use your phone or anything to get your reference picture up somewhere. You can lean it on your desk. I know what I do sometimes as well is that I do attach my phone to this little mount here and use that as my reference, or I just flip up the laptop and put the reference on there. So yeah, so this is just really quite a general overview, I guess, on the materials I use and how I guess the electronics and how I manage to record the videos. If you want to know more, have any specific questions or suggestions on what you want to see, just let me know. I can comment back and give you a hand. Check out these tutorials down the side here. I've got a couple of playlists that will help you get some ideas and improve your watercolors.